G'day legends, today we're going over the top 100 old school RuneScape streamers, and the last few may be a little bit controversial, so let me know what you guys think of this list. And it's a little bit hard to start off, so we're gonna have to say that the worst of the best 100 streamers goes to my good buddy Schmacko. But Schmacko's been on the rise. Next up is a fellow Aussie, Tau RS, who's been doing some very unique drinking content into the very creepy Ignoble Solid, and after him we have J freaking B, who's been grinding hard to be a well-known streamer. Next up, the fairly popular Little Sushi, and she gets followed by Straw Hat Danny, who is a big One Piece fan. Next up, Pure 7 Mood, who has been grinding out his Iron Man for quite some time. Radish Boy is next with this very devastating clip when his house actually caught on fire. This man's been going through the ringer lately, so make sure to drop him a follow if you're looking for a good quality new streamer. Ari Slash would have to be one of the best hardcore Iron Man streamers we've ever seen. He has a couple of boss accounts, which puts him at this number. Next up is Joe Watermelon. Then we switch over to Hanny RS, who's been grinding for the last couple of years. I don't exactly know how, but Sekon is on this list. I personally love him, but he is a little bit creepy. Hebox has been making absolute waves on YouTube, and he's fairly big in the streaming scene as well, while trying to max his account quicker than anyone has ever done. Taran is the absolute king of TOB. He streams that every time. He's literally done thousands of runs and probably has acquired about 406 sites. Juro, previously known as Soijiro's, up next. A lot of great hardcore clips have come from him. Then we have Clipper, who plays some of the loudest music we've ever heard on RuneScape. Spidwood has been dominating the wilderness and the PK scene with a lot of his PK and clips that have been coming out lately. Molly Music, a lover of the Ultimate Iron Man game mode, has a very wholesome stream with her dog that a lot of people like to tune into. Next up is Zozo1232, who is very popular, although he's not very consistent, but still gets a big viewership. Crudder's another man representing that PK scene, but Mick Homie is someone who does not like to step foot in the wilderness. He's out there grinding his Iron Man anytime he can. Dale is one of those very skilled gamers, speedrunning a lot of the content and showing people like me how you can actually play. Badman has been improving his cult-like following recently, and we can't go past Jack RS, who's trying to complete so many items on the collection log and just has to have his classic little laugh every time he gets a drop. Wazzy was fairly popular in RuneScape 3, and it's not too much different now that he's came over to Old School. I love to see him and his RuneScape 3 buddies doing well. Sasha Spitz has only been around for about a year. I'm not quite sure how, but she's gained some very quick popularity in a short amount of time. Although a little bit inconsistent, Identify is next on the list. He's apparently in real life one of the nicest people you could possibly meet. We also have the well-known Laney on the list, followed closely by Honna RS, and it must be a streak for the girls, because next up we have the Aussie Katarina. Reeve is next on the list, and then comes Sido, who has been grinding out ridiculous hours every week for the last few years. Sido is about 43, making him officially the oldest old school RuneScape streamer we currently have. Potato Heim is next on the list, who has a very chilled and wholesome stream. She has a very unique European accent, I believe, but someone who has the worst accent, aka the Australian accent, is Danny on Bundy, and he's been known to send many shoeies on stream. He's been rising the ranks, and it's good to see some Aussies getting represented. Sido is an absolute top tier gamer, followed by Makeru, who also came over from RuneScape 3 and has been doing that group Iron Man with his buddies. And while very successful on RuneScape 3, he's seen similar success in Old School. The next person on the list is Zulu, who has a big YouTube channel, but unfortunately when I tried to find his stream, it's currently been banned on Twitch, so I'm really not too sure what's going on there. Next up is Vic, who's completed TOA about 700 times and just does it for the fun of it. Nowadays, Ideal doesn't stream too often, but he still had to make this list. He's been absolutely smashing it with his YouTube content lately. And how could we go past Josh Palau, the infamous RuneScape felon who went to jail for making a few lewd jokes in the game. The next person representing Trout Gang 222 is Dear Lola, who's seen some massive success since since joining Odablock's Group Ironman team, and he's streaming on Twitch now, I believe. Beggar Official, the King Ass Whisperer, and the king of doing giveaways, some great success and some very consistent streams from him. I believe Hamzy still has an IRL job, so not too consistent, but he has to be a favorite of many people. He's also on the base team. BF Rocket, an absolute veteran of our game, comes in next, and after him is Kriskies, another super skilled gamer who has done plenty of TOB runs with Bodhi's Hardcore. Doobie Dobby's up next, a very enjoyable to watch PKer, as is Osku, who's one of the best PKers out there. Someone who's also a PKer is Mint Mad Cow. He's been dropping a lot of YouTube content, but also regularly streams, and he has some great fun on his amazing Pure accounts. Megan up next, who's been representing the British crowd, only to be beaten by the Ginger Ninja, aka Ginger Beardy, who's also English and seen some massive success over in different categories, but still streams RuneScape. Verf has had some massive YouTube Ironman locked accounts, but he also has some great streams, as does Rice Cup, a big YouTube presence, but also very big in the streaming scene, only to be beaten by Eliop14, one of the infamous PKers out in the deep wildy, also a pretty big YouTuber as well. And although he may not beat him in the PK scene, Pure Spam is an absolute veteran who's worked for Jagex plenty of times, and he has been around our game for so long. He comes in next. And speaking of working for Jagex, that's something Ron Plays Games has done as well at one of the Rune Fests, and Ron has seen a fair bit of success in the last few years, still doing a lot of his events like the Deal or No Deal with RuneScape GP. Another veteran who has a very wholesome following is Skidler, followed by Puggin, a very skilled and humble gamer. Jessie, aka Bodhi's better half, comes in next. She was always fairly popular in the scene, but now dating Bodhi, I think it's blown her up to new heights. The absolute pinnacle of clips, the Rex Bro himself, Rigondow, comes in next, a personal favorite of mine, followed by Zoe Pancakes, another based member. This list is starting to heat up. Next up, a controversial streamer who goes by the name of No Monkeys, who is part of the high level community and does a lot of high end games. Sometimes he says the game is far too easy, but then goes on to use lots of plugins that people like to complain about. Jake C, the king of Ultimate Ironman and Iron Man, is another personal favorite of mine, followed by Greg 2007, the best PKer in all of Gillinor is what he believes, but he is a pretty good PKer. For me, Lake comes in next. These streamers are starting to get very popular. Adicon after him, an extreme high level community member. I don't know how he got this high in the list. Some people will hate this, but next up we have 61M, who's been PKing for years, as has Reese, who's recently seen so much success with his YouTube channel that he stopped streaming, but now since the kick deals and the big payouts are coming, he's come back to RuneScape. And I mean, he's come back to streaming, which he's doing on Kick every odd day. After Reese, we have Poison Potion, the best high-risk hardcore Ironman YouTube content we can possibly find. And a person who likes high risk and a lot of death matches is the Donator, who gives away billions of GP and also risks a lot of it while doing his streams. Prison Joe, one of the main members of the base crew, would have to be next. Then we have Casey, who loves a collection log and trying to get that Bloodhound with his bazillion master clue scrolls. T-Papa, maybe I was a little bit generous putting him so high on this list, but he is an infamous member of the base crew, so there he is. Puggin's up next, and I don't know why it looks like we did miss one, because Puggin may be on the list twice. Olive is up next, who has a YouTube presence and a very nice stream presence. I believe he likes to get very high while playing a lot of RuneScape. Tommy, who was previously known as AOAA Tube, is one of the veterans of our streaming game. He was streaming with Bodhi back before they even had hair under their arms. Hey Jace is also a veteran. He's been streaming for literally years and years. He enjoys trying to get the collection log items and does a whole bunch of clue scrolls. Although he's been MIA for quite some time, Sick Nerd, aka The General, would have to be up there as one of our best ever streamers if he was more consistent and still streamed our game. But following him, the brand new Kick Pay Packet streamer is EVscape, whose YouTube YouTube has always been one of the staples in the RuneScape section. Roydy, who once won a Golden Gnome for best new old school RuneScape streamer, is still hitting the streams hard, been part of the infamous Farmers Group Hardcore Iron Man team, and is still pulling big numbers. Molegoat Kirby has about 50 world record times for various bosses all around Gielinor, an absolute pioneer in the speedrunning scene. I don't know how long Alkin's been streaming and producing YouTube content, but he may have been doing it the longest out of anyone on this list. Only Trails, a person who absolutely loves Clue Scrolls, found his success on his YouTube channel by doing his Clue Scroll only Iron Man, which is an absolute boss of a series. Alfie is a streamer who's done the early grind more than anyone could ever imagine. He does it extremely quickly while staying up for ridiculous hours while pumping so many Adderalls that his heart's just about to give up. And speaking about staying up, we've also got Mr. No Sleep on the list, who famously made some world records on Twitch for doing the longest ever live streams, one of which was a 100-hour live stream. He's since stopped this, which I think is very good for his health, but if you've been around for a while, you'll know Mr. No Sleep is certainly a veteran of our game. We have a cold one coming in next, a very skilled gamer, followed by Whale, who was once known as Whale Steamrolled Tail First, a very big Bodhi fan, but then went on to start his own streaming career. Satyr is very high on this list as well. A shout out to him for the picture for the thumbnail, and perhaps he's very high because of his very popular and probably the #1 RuneScape podcast we have. And with the numbers that's pulled has only helped him skyrocket his streaming career. Mutz would be coming in at one of, if not the best hardcore Iron Man streamer our game has ever seen. He started multiple hardcores, but now he has one that is such a high level and so juicy, people just can't wait to see what he does on it next. And they're possibly also waiting till he dies. Next up, this may be the most controversial person on this list. We have Coxie. And do not forget to do your dailies on RuneScape, your birdhouse runs, your farm runs, and to report the good old Coxie, because once upon a time he used a little cheat client to fill up some potions. It's Will is a streamer who has a very cult-like following, and a lot of people who tune into his streams watch it religiously every single day. He's won at least one Golden Gnome as well. And speaking of Golden Gnomes, I'm sure Dino has won one of those, one of the best PK streamers there currently is, but the man unfortunately has the worst bird's nest haircut we've ever seen since Torvesta. Wook Solo probably should be a little bit higher on this list, but he just does not stream regularly enough in my opinion. But when he does send us streams, he's doing some very unique content, tackling brand new parts of our game, and just about showing all of us how we actually should be doing the new content. He still pulls thousands of viewers when new content is released. Tasty Life, aka the daddy of the base crew, super high on this list, but very deserving in my opinion. Only to be followed by the absolute veterans of our game who have been doing it for years. As we move closer to that rank 1 spot, here we have Curtis, aka MMORPG. And after I've just saw his name, it has reminded me I completely left Denise off the list. There's probably a bunch of other people I left off the list as well, so comment them down below. My favorite PK Rage streamer would have to be Skill Specs. What an absolute OG of the game, as is Foe, only to just be beaten by Spark Mac, who has such a cult-like following but does not like to interact too much with all the other streamers. But someone who certainly likes to interact with everyone and is possibly the nicest person you will ever talk to on live stream is Mr. Mammal, who has been doing his YouTube content for his Iron Mammal account for the last few years, and also is of course part of the Farmers. And now there's only two of the biggest streamers left, Odablock and Bodhi. This was a tough choice for me, but I've had to go with Odablock coming in at second place. Even though his viewers and subs may most of the time be higher than Bodhi, I just thought Bodhi is such a grandfather to our game. And the only reason Odablock didn't beat him in this list is because Odablock just hasn't been doing it for the time that Bodhi has. Bodhi, in my opinion, would have to be the absolute GOAT, the pinnacle of streaming old school RuneScape, such a big name in our community. So he takes the biggest prize given out this year, the BHE Top 100 Streamer Award. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, drop a sub, and let me know who you would have put on the list or which ones you think are in the complete wrong positions.